Breeders' Cup action continues with the Juvenile Fillies turf. Best way to play is through NYRABets. Head on over to NYRABets.com if you're not a member. Use the promo code CUP25 for that $200 deposit match and free $25 play. This race is a wild race. I'm going to take a Euro on top that might be a little less Herald. We'll get to that. Herald gets to that one. But we'll take a look at the prep at Keeneland with the number 9, Delight, getting the job done, beating Knock Your Socks Off. I'm against Delight in this race. I know she won impressively this day, but I don't know. I thought she beat a fairly soft field in here, and I think her margin of victory will make her take too much money. She also didn't run nearly as well as Zajara when Zajara ran second in their not her debut, Delight's second start, but Zajara's debut. Zajara drew poorly in here with post number 13, which made me relegate her to a lesser slot. Delight, she can win. A lot of horses can win in here, but I think she takes a lot of money off of this effort, and I'm going to play against. I don't really care about that theoretical home court advantage. The prep in New York, though, is one I'm very interested in, the Miss Grillo. Pleasant Passage, able to get to the front in a very astute ride from Irad Ortiz on an extremely soft course. I think the horse who finished second, Free Look, is a more dangerous horse out of here. I wonder if she sits back a little bit more and isn't really hurt by the circumstances, if she'll be able to run her better race, which I think makes her a major player. She's not my top choice, but she's in there. Be Your Best, we showed the start. Be Your Best broke to the outside. Once she did that, it kind of put her behind the 8-ball because the race was dominated up front. And she was taken out just enough that she couldn't get it done. And while she suffered her first career defeat in 3 starts, I still think she ran well to finish third. And her first 2 starts are good enough to win. So Be Your Best will be on my ticket somewhere. I prefer Free Look out of this race. Pleasant Passage, I don't think she can win with the same trip she got. And I'm not saying she's untalented, but of the 3 in here, I prefer the other 2. Let's take a look at a prep at Woodbine and the Talma. 3 horses are coming out of there. The winner, Last Call, the second horse, Cairo Concert, and the third horse, G. Laurie. Of these 3 horses, the one that I want is the third finisher, G. Laurie. So I think she's the one that was the most unlucky, caught behind horses, never really got to make that clean outside run. You see her sort of turning her head on those light blue silks. She has to try to rally inside of horses. Now, Cairo Concert, you see that blocked quarter. Well, okay, fine. She had a very, very long stretch to get there, and she just simply couldn't. And I wonder if she's a horse that's better with less distance. No huge knock on Last Call. I just wonder how strong this race overall is. I'm not going to use any of them, but G. Laurie, the one who had the trouble and finished third, would be the one that I could consider the most. Originally, I would have picked Zajara on top on this race. I don't like her draw. Now you're going to laugh because I was going to pick her second, actually, to my kind of goofy horse, which we'll get to, I think can win. I just can't stand the fact that she got this post. She broke her maiden the day after Travers Day at Saratoga. They took a shot and they tried the dirt in the Alcibiades. She didn't run badly at all, but she's a turf horse. She ran very well in second to Pink Hue, who might have been the favorite in this race if she had been able to make it. Unfortunately, she didn't. But she ran extremely well on top of the pace, did a lot of dirty work in that race. She finished ahead of Delight, and then she just crushed the field. Now, how good this field was remains to be seen, but she did it very impressively. In fact, she ran well in the dirt. I think is a feather in her cap because this is the surface that she belongs on. But the post 13 did her no favors. I will use her, however, but I'm going to try to beat her a little bit in here. We'll look at another horse, a Comanche Country, because I don't want to leave out the horses from California. We don't really think that much of the turf horse 2-year-olds from California. It's just because we run so much more competitive turf racing here. A lot of the better horses end up on the East Coast. It's nothing against the California runners. It's just the fields are much tougher here. Now, she's run okay in her races, but judging by who she ran against, I just feel like she's meeting better horses in here. And people will say it's an East Coast bias. It's an East Coast preference in these turf races. We just haven't seen these horses have that much success. Let's go and look at the Euros. Meditate could end up being the favorite in this race for Aidan O'Brien. I'm never sure I want to take Aidan O'Brien as the favorite. And this is his last start in the Chevrolet Park, the big Grade 1, where he finished second to Lizu and ran well in here. Second to a very impressive horse, the Aga Khan, Tahira in her last start. And while she hasn't gotten it done, she's run well in her races. Now she's got to stretch out. She has no run effectively at 7 furlongs in Europe, so a mile shouldn't be out of her range. The problem is I don't love these Aidan O'Brien horses that are competing at the highest level, come over the Breeders' Cup almost as an afterthought. So in this case, at a short price, I'll let Meditate beat me. And beat me she may, because she is probably the toughest Euro, more so than Basil Martini, who goes out for Joseph O'Brien, Aidan O'Brien's son. She's an improving horse and more in line with the kind of horse that I prefer to take as she's been brought along towards this race. She hasn't been running in the bigger races, and I'm not going to be surprised when she runs okay in here. My problem with her is that based on her time form ratings, she's simply not fast enough to be competitive in this race. So she would have to get a lot faster, and I just want a horse that I think has run faster if I'm going to take a Euro. And the horse that fits that bill for me is my top choice, despite the terrible draw in post 12 of Midnight Mile. Midnight Mile is my kind of Euro, and one that kind of had success with in the past. A horse that probably was pointing for this race all along. And if you read the time form write-up of the last race, it says she will go on improving, and that's what I want to see. And this horse appears to be better with distance, and the last race was fast enough from a feed figure standpoint, a time form rating, I should say, to compete in this race, and she's going to be a price. So I find her kind of interesting. The 12 Midnight Mile over the 4 Free Look, the 6 Be Your Best, and the number 13 Zajara. This is a wide open race. If I'm going to play in here, I'm going to have to look for a little bit of a price, and I think that Midnight Mile is kind of interesting in the Breeders' Cup, a Juvenile Fillies turf. It's a mouthful. Head over to NYRA You want to play it there? Use the promo code CUP25. We'll give you that free $25 play along with a $200 deposit match.